this sitting back thing might not cut. Fuck it, this'll work. So I know I'm a little late to the party here, but I needed a Mexico warm-up. I finally listened to the Tom Marshall podcast featuring Mike Gordon. Parts 1 and 2. Now, look, if I have any complaints, there are very few complaints, but one of them would be the two-part thing. I mean, Tom even said himself during the podcast, like, there was no good place to chop this up. The conversation was flowing so well. I mean, it's almost like I shouldn't have chopped it up, and there's some very popular podcasts go over 3 hours. I mean, we definitely could sit through 2 hours of Mike. It was going well, so that would be my only complaint, that they had to break it up into 2 parts. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if they're just rolling a little low on content over there. Maybe he's having trouble getting guests. I mean, he does seem to have a lot of Phish fans on. He's yet to have Paige and John on. Says he wants to have Paige and John on. I mean, he's only had his boy Trey on twice. I mean, my God. So perhaps that's the problem. Yeah, we can bang 2 podcasts out of this here with Mike Gordon. The very end, apparently Mike started asking Tom some questions, and by that point I'd had enough. All right, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it was good that they broke it into 2 parts. Maybe some people needed that, because about an hour 45 in, I was like, all right, I really don't need to hear Mike interviewing Tom. One thing that leads me to one thing that Tom did an excellent job of. As the host, he didn't try to be the star. Look, we're tuning in to hear Mike. We don't get to hear from Mike very often in this kind of format. In fact, I quit listening to, watching, reading Mike Gordon interviews a long time ago. He was just always being a weirdo. It looked like it was a total act. You couldn't get a serious answer out of the guy. And his sense of humor seems to come a long way. Because the weirdo act I never thought was very funny either. The goofy-looking clothes, the hair, the wig he wore for a part of a tour. I just was never into that. I was just like, I love his songs, but Mike Gordon interviews, I'm done with them. That was 2.0, 1.0, whatever. So he's come a long way, apparently. I guess it all was just an act back in. That or he's matured or he's evolved. But it turns out he's not such a weirdo after all. He's got a pretty good sense of humor. He talked about, a little prank he wanted to play with the drill. Tom brought up the drill. I'm picturing this going down in wingsuit, but Mike wanted to somehow catapult the drill up into his hand. There was going to be ketchup packets involved. He wanted to make it seem like some kind of horrible accident. There was going to be blood everywhere, fake blood, ketchup, of course. But then Phish management gave it the big thumbs down, said, no deal, you can't do that. So that's disappointing that they're listening to management on issues like that. Look, they're a very successful band. Maybe listening to management's got them where they are, but I don't believe so. I think they've gotten to this point because they know what people want, and people want to see that. People want to see a fake catastrophic injury involving the drill and ketchup packages, and Phish management says, no deal, you can't do that, sorry. Now stop listening to fucking management, guys, especially on shit like that. And when they try to tell you not to play 3 nights in fucking Noblesville, Indiana, tell them to fuck off then, too. We want our 3 nights at Deer Creek. All right, so that's it. I think I'm officially done bitching about anything. And then Mike, there was times when Mike he would be talking about playing the bass or his rig or maybe songwriting. Took a break from talking about Scott for a moment. Boy, he loves Scott. I mean, I like Scott. He's a crucial member of Mike's bands over the last several years. But boy, it was a lot of Scott. I'm a big Robert Walter fan. I love Robert in the band right now. I saw him a couple years, it was last year or the year before, I went up to Detroit, saw Mike's band. He talked about covers, too. How maybe sometimes they play a little bit of an obscure cover. People think it's just another Mike Gordon song. I was guilty of that. I went into that show not being very familiar with the material. I had not listened to the latest Mike album. Went to the show. They mostly played the new Mike album and then mixed in a Sweet Emotion. So that night we got a recognizable cover. And it did probably get the largest reaction from the crowd all night. It's probably got to be a little disappointing to Mike. You bust out an Aerosmith song and that's the one everybody's fired up for. But he's right, occasionally the cover songs need to be something that people can recognize, as opposed to an obscure cover. He listed a couple that they play. Tom was playing quick little clips of several songs throughout. I always have liked Mike's songs. Even the Phish songs, the Mike Phish songs, always been some of my favorites. Pound for pound, they might be just as good as the Trey and Tom songs, or the songs the whole band writes. There's not enough of them. The Trey songs outweigh the Mike songs in sheer numbers, the Phish songs. All right, we're getting sidetracked a little bit. Mike had talked about wanting to be in the Who at one point, actively pursued getting in the Who. He had, in one of his early movies, he worked with Entwistle, the one, I don't remember which movie it was. It's been a long time. I didn't love those movies. God damn it, there I go again, man. Kind of shitting on something. That's not my intentions at all. I really enjoyed the podcast. I haven't listened to a whole lot of Tom's podcast. I did listen to one of the ones with Trey. I think I made it through about half of the other. God damn, man, I'm bitching again, kinda. So anyways, he wanted to join the Who. You know, he claims he went out and bought 30 Who CDs. I didn't even know the Who had 30 fucking CDs, but he bought a lot of Who CDs, learned all their songs, tried to get in the Who. It did not happen. They already had a bass player. Then about a year after that, I think they were trying to jump on that GD50 thing. They had their 50-year reunion or tour, anniversary, whatever you want to call it. Mike tried to get in on that, I believe. Possibly that's not the second tour. But anyhow, Mike tried to get in the Who. That'd have been interesting. Guess he's just going to have to settle for occasionally playing a Who song with his other band, Phish. Damn, now I think they covered all kinds of things. Oh yeah, the Sphere Jam, the Silver Sphere Jam that was going to happen at Magnaball. They decided not to do that in Halloween. According to Trey, a quote from Trey, according to Mike, is they could do better. So they just totally scrapped all that, man. It hit the floor, never to be heard. We might have dodged a bullet there. You know, I've never been a giant fan of the late night festival shit they do. And this year, you know, if Trey just decided to scrap it and thought they could do better, Casvot was great. I don't know what the Silver Spear involved, but I'm glad they decided to go with what they went with, it sounds like. And then, you know, I don't know. I like the fact that Mike, you know, maybe started to get into this, I think. Maybe I did or I didn't. I don't know. What's going on with my eyes? I'm like that New York Jets coach. I'm Adam Gase over here. So he started, like, anytime Mike would talk about songwriting or his bass or his rig or whatever, he never wanted to make it seem like he had all the answers. Like, he was kind of, this is what I do, this is what works for me. I'm not saying it's the best way. You know, he would always kind of backtrack a little bit after just saying what he likes to do and what works for him. He had some interesting ideas when it comes to creating songs, what he likes to do with his rig. He wanted them both the same for Mike Gordon's band. It's not the Mike Gordon band. It's just Mike Gordon, not the Mike Gordon band. I had heard some shit about that, too. I heard that was like a financial thing. When solo acts add that word band in there. You know, Dave Matthews Band, Jerry Garcia Band, Trey Anastasio Band. The ones he mentioned, the ones we're probably familiar with. I don't know how familiar you should be with Dave Matthews Band. But anyhow, I thought that was just a thing. They like made them a band and got the band members paid. As opposed to just going with Mike Gordon or Trey Anastasio. You kind of hoard a lot of the money. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm not in the business. But that was just something I had heard. I hope Mike's not trying to stiff the guys by not adding that word band in the title. I don't think Mike's that kind of guy. So, I don't know. I don't know what else there was. I'm sure there was a bunch of other shit they talked about. It was good. You know, like I said, I didn't get to the very end. Oh, boy, we've run almost 8 minutes here. This is not going to be a two-part recap. You know, this was supposed to be just a warm-up for the Phish Mexico shows. Maybe a little too laid back here. Just turned into a talking head at some point. Now you can see my arms. I'll sit like this for a moment. That'd be pretty cool if this ended up in the thumbnail. I'd be like, oh my God, what's he doing? What's going on? I got to watch this video based on the thumbnail alone. Got big plans for this, too, coming in for the Mexico recaps. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I chickened out last time. Shaved it all off, but if you're a long-time watcher of this channel, you might know what's coming. Alright, guys. So, I guess, until tomorrow, and Friday and Saturday, boom, we're out of here. Let's hang on just for a couple extra seconds.